Move that boat now, or we'll have it towed, bellowed a man in a crisp polo and khakis, standing on my private dock, waving a clipboard like he was commanding an army. Behind him, a crowd of homeowners association members, decked out for their weekend fishing bash, acted like they owned the place. I was lounging on my boat, coffee in hand, savoring the morning breeze rippling across Willow Lake. My German shepherd, Rusty, yawned at my feet unbothered. It was peaceful, until they arrived. "We've had complaints," the man, Richard Hensley, HOA president, barked, stepping onto my dock like he had the law on his side. "This lake is HOA property, and you need a permit to dock here." I stood slowly, locking eyes with him. "I own the lake," I said. Silence. You could hear a fish splash. "You what?" a woman gasped, nearly spilling her drink. "I own this lake," I repeated, steady as the water's ripples. I opened a lockbox on my boat, pulled out a rolled-up deed, and held it up. The crowd gaped, jaws dropping. Smiling, I said, "You might want to sit down for this." Years ago, I, Daniel Carter, bought this quiet lakeside property after a brutal divorce. It was just overgrown brush, a rundown cabin, and a forgotten lake. The solitude was my therapy. I fixed the cabin, built a dock, and bought a fishing boat, Freedom. The HOA didn't exist when I settled here. My land was carved out before their community sprouted. I never joined them, and they saw me as the odd guy in the woods. At first, I tolerated their fishing parties on my lake, thinking they were just enjoying nature. But then came the trash: beer bottles, plastic cups, even a broken chair floating in the reeds. I politely told them it was private property. That's when Richard got nasty. He sent a letter claiming I violated HOA rules by docking a non-regulated vessel on their lake. Their lake. I showed up at an HOA meeting with my deed, but Richard shut me down, dismissing my external land claims. Things escalated. Fines arrived claiming my dock blocked the community view. Then, Richard and his fishing posse marched onto my dock, demanding I move my boat. I'd had enough. When Richard tried to grab my deed, I pulled it back. "Let's call the sheriff," I said. "Bring your permits, I'll bring my deed." He backed off, but his crew looked uneasy, some already packing up. That night, I installed dock cameras and floodlights. At dawn, Rusty's barking woke me. Richard was back with a rented barge crane, trying to tow Freedom. I hit the floodlights, blinding them. "Get off my property!" I shouted, phone in hand, dialing the sheriff. Richard lied, claiming HOA clearance, but a worker hesitated, mentioning my name on the county registry. Then, in a fury, Richard kicked the dock railing, slipped, and splashed into the lake, his cooler sinking with his phone. The fishing party was over. The sheriff arrived, and Officer Jenkins, who knew me, reviewed my deed. Richard, soaked and fuming, was cuffed for trespassing and attempted theft. Some HOA members apologized, unaware that the lake wasn't theirs. But Richard's wife, Laura Hensley, took over as acting HOA president and summoned me to a disciplinary hearing, claiming my lake was a shared community space. At the packed meeting, I recorded everything. Laura accused me of endangering residents and harassing them on HOA property. I presented my deed, predating the HOA by a decade, and called their claims nonsense. Laura insisted the lake was communal because they'd used it. "That's not how property law works," I snapped. When she threatened court, I revealed I'd already filed an injunction. The crowd buzzed, some nodding my way. 2 days later, Laura organized a chaotic community fishing day, renaming my lake Hensley Lake, with a massive banner. Dozens partied, littering and blasting music. Furious, I grabbed my zoning papers and water rights, calling my attorney Tom and the sheriff. On the dock, I used a bullhorn. "This is private property. Leave now." I cut the power to their speakers, silencing the party. Deputies and a county water official arrived, confirming my ownership. Laura was escorted away, defiant but shaken. The HOA sued me for emotional distress and community disruption. Tom called it a tantrum, but we prepared meticulously: deeds, police reports, camera footage. In court, Tom dismantled their case, playing clips of Richard's threats and Laura's inflammatory speech. The judge dismissed the lawsuit, slamming the HOA's leadership. Outside, a reporter asked for my statement. "I just wanted peace and respect," I said. "Kindness matters, unless you tried to steal what's mine." The story went viral. Laura resigned, Richard faded, and the HOA reformed. The county renamed the lake, Lake Carter, officially. But a week later, 6 SUVs rolled up, state environmental officials, spurred by Laura, accusing me of polluting the lake. I showed an inspector, Emily, my conservation efforts: bee gardens, fish habitats, water filters. Impressed, she featured my work in a news story, and the complaint was dropped. Then, at midnight, Rusty's growls woke me. Outside, Richard, wild-eyed, stood by a backhoe with fertilizer and fuel drums, planning to poison the lake. I tackled him as he reached for the controls, pinning him until deputies arrived. He was charged with attempted ecoterrorism. Laura vanished, and the HOA went quiet. A year later, Lake Carter became a wildlife sanctuary. I let people fish and swim, with a sign: "Welcome to Lake Carter. Respect the land, water, and each other." This isn't a rule, it's a reminder. Peace wasn't given, it was earned, one ripple at a time. What do you think? Was I too harsh, or did the HOA deserve it? Share your thoughts below, especially on where pranks and entitlement cross the line. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more wild neighborhood battles.